In this video, I'm going to show you how to fold an origami star infinity designed by Francesco Guarnieri. Be sure to check out his website and Flickr stream. This star has many simple yet absolutely stunning variations which you can find there. You can fold this model from copy paper. This one I actually folded from Stardream, which is quite heavy or thick paper, and that works well. But even folding the model from very thin paper, like origami paper, works excellently. So you can choose just about any paper you like. Now we're going to fold the model from an octagon, but I show you how to cut an octagon from a square after some initial folds, which we actually need for the model. Talking about size, this square has a side length of 24 centimeters or about 9 inches. And then the model is going to measure about 16 centimeters or 6 inches from point to point. The model is going to be about 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch deep. And as you can see, the model looks beautiful both from this side and that side. However, if you are going to use paper that is white on one side and colored on the other, we're going to start with the color side up. If you want a model that is colored when this tip is kind of pointing upwards, you can see that. So if it's this way around, you're going to start with the color side up. So let's get started. We're going to first fold point to point. And unfold, rotate, and again fold point to point. As we will need all of these creases for the star infinity, you can make very strong creases here. Unfold. Now we're going to flip the paper over and fold edge to edge. Again, make a sharp crease, unfold, rotate, and again, fold edge to edge. Then we can push the paper together to get a preliminary base. And then we're going to rotate this so that the open side is pointing upwards. And then we're going to push on this crease to make a squash fold. And while doing so, we want to ensure that these two edges here meet, so that this crease line meets with the parting that you have, so that we get a very symmetrical squash fold. You can see that this crease line matches up with where the two edges meet. And then crease here and there. Then flip over and repeat. I'm first going to fold this over so that the paper stands up nicely. Put in a finger, press on the crease up to the point so that we get a nice precise point too. Ensure the two edges are together and then squash. Now I'm going to take one layer and fold it over, flip over the paper and do the same thing again. So now we can squash the remaining two flaps. Always ensuring the edges meet, because only then you will get a nice regular octagon in a second. And flip over, and one last time. Once you're there, you're just going to get a pair of scissors and you're going to cut right along this edge. Of course, we could have started with an octagon right off and then folded throughout, but I think it's much easier to cut the octagon this way, and probably you don't have an octagon at hand right off. So just cut very carefully along the edge. If it's not perfect, it's not really going to show in the model, but try to be as precise as possible. Now we're going to keep the model in this folded shape and start preparing the creases for the star. You have 4 layers on each side, and if you're using very heavy paper, you might have to repeat this step a couple of times, but let's see. First, we're going to take this point and align it with that point. And while doing so, try to not have the layers shift. So if you don't hold on to this too much, the layers might shift a bit. So I try to really fix the model right here. And then fold over. And now you've got this central crease here. I'm going to make a crease starting from the center, going to the outside, while ensuring that this paper does not drift, and push down. And then I'm going to take this large area of my thumbnail and make a very strong crease. Can't make it too strong, really. You can use a bone folder if you have one. So then you have a crease right here that goes just up to the center. It's quite important to not extend this crease because it will make it really hard to collapse the model. Then we're going to do the same thing, just bringing the point to the other side, and then again make a strong crease. Going along there several times. And then you've got your first pre-creasing for the stars. Now we're going to work on the smaller ones. We're going to take this edge and we're going to align it with the crease line we just created, and this point is again going to match up with that edge here just where the crease ends. And again we're just going to start from the center and crease outwards, making a very strong crease. Same thing on the other side. Aligning the edge, making a very strong crease. And then we continue. I'm going to do this 4 times, but if you wanted and you were using larger paper, you could do it even more often. There's really no restriction except for paper size and your patience, of course. That's the 3rd time, and one last time. Now, if you're doing this with heavy paper, like I did with the Star Dream paper I was talking about, I actually had 2 layers on one side and 6 on the other, 2 always on the side that I was creasing. So right now I would have had 2 layers here, 6 here, and then I creased through, so that I didn't have to crease through as many layers. And what you might also want to do is, once you have these creases in here, I'm just going to flip 2 layers over to one side, and same on the other side, so that the layers are distributed differently, and then go along the creases again. So now you can see them. I'm just going to do this in the air, and then push on the creases to make them really strong on all layers. Now, by rearranging the layers, different layers are on the top and in the center, and the layers in the center are the hardest to make strong creases on. So because different layers are in the center, those won't need as strong creasing anymore, and making these will actually touch the layers that had weaker creases. So now we've done that, and now we're going to unfold this, and we're going to flip it over. So I'm just going to open the whole thing, including that area right there. There you go. And then I'm going to push on that point and it flips over. You see that? And then you can just collapse this back down. Along the creases you have, they already have the correct direction. And then we can again check whether there's 4 layers on each side, although right now it's not as important. Now we're going to take just one flap at a time and take this edge and bring it to the central crease line. And crease. Flip over. And again crease. And again. Going through all of these. And this is the 4th one on this side. And I'm just going to fold all of these back and then do the same on the other 4 flaps. There we go. Now we're going to prepare the locking mechanism, and then we're going to collapse the model and then actually lock the model. So for this, we're going to mount and fold the creases we just did. So we're just going to push them inside, I guess. And you can do 2. And then I'm going to take this point and bring it exactly to where these 2 crease lines here meet. So here you can see this is where the crease lines meet in the center. And now I'm going to take this tip and fold it over so that it not quite touches that point. So you wouldn't want it to overlap. And then I'm going to take these layers right here and pull them out so that we're creating a crease that goes from this point to that point. Kind of pulling it out and pressing the paper flat. Or you could use any other technique to add these creases. I'm going to show you a different way in a second, just in case you prefer something different. So you can do it this way if you want. Now another way would be to do the following. I'm just going to open this up again, and I'm just going to take the point and bring it to the crease line, and then only crease between the 2 slightly diagonal creases you can see here. And then let's do that all the way around actually. There we go. And then let's collapse this again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take these flaps and we're going to crease them so that this edge here exactly meets the intersection of that crease line with the crease you just made. So here you can see the first crease line, and here the horizontal one we just did. So if you start a crease in this point and match the edge with that intersection and crease, then you're good to go too. And then you can go once around. This one we actually already did. So next one. And so on. It depends on what you prefer, really. I think maybe this method which I'm demonstrating now, is just slightly faster. However, it does mean that the creases aren't exactly the right direction yet, which I'm not too worried about, because all of the other pre-creasing we also did without taking into account the direction of the creases, which, you could do that pre-creasing differently, but it would take a bit more time and you'd have to be a little more careful, and I figured quick and easy is probably what you really are going for. So there we go. Now we've done all our pre-creasing, and now we're going to, we're going to start collapsing the whole model. So we're going to open this up, and the better your pre-creasing is, the easier this step is. So we're going to start with the very inner star. And I'm going to always start in a point here and make that valley fold into a mountain fold. And I'm going to take one hand and go in the inside and push on the point of that very inner star, so that when I make this mountain fold, I kind of have that point popping up. Can you see that? And then I'm going to continue to the next one. Again, starting from the point and then pushing on that point so that it pops up. And the next one. The first ones are actually probably going to be a bit more difficult. After that, the paper kind of understands where you're going. And just ensuring that works. And one last time. And this is basically just changing the direction of the creases that we prepared. Now once we've got that, we're going to push on this point so that we ensure it goes down. You see that? And then we're going to reinforce the creases we just did, these mountain folds. And I'm going to start, and can you see this here? I'm going to push this together while that point is going inside, not to the top. And then I'm going to go around this model once to make these creases really strong. The sharper these creases are, I find the more beautiful the model is. It's just going to look so super sharp and precise. And once you've kind of got that into place, you can really push those together, go all the way inside to get very nice precision. And then we're going to do the next star. And for that, we're going to flip the model over and then do the same thing again. We're going to start from the tips and change it into a mountain fold. And this time we're working on the next star. So I'm going to push on the point where, this star ends to make a nice sharp point there. And then go around, pushing on it from the back. This time I used this hand, that's fine too, whatever works for you. And always pushing the paper so that the direction of the creases changes here into a mountain fold. And the ones in between are going to be valley folds. That will probably happen quite automatically here. And always pushing this inside. Now, if this ever pops up, don't worry. Just a small push should push that into place again, because the direction of the creases here is correct, and the creases are strong because we strengthened them by pinching them again. And the last point. And then again, I'm going to make these creases stronger by pushing the paper together. You see that? And if you want, you can again really press these together. There's quite a lot of pressure on the center point. I find that if you use paper that's not as strong, there's going to be a small hole, which I'm not too worried about. You don't actually see it that much in the finished model, even if right now it might be a little more apparent. Then again, flip over the model and continue with the next star. Again, always starting from the point, making a mountain fold, pushing that tip of the star to get a nice precise tip, and then going around once to repeat that all the way around. It's a bit of an exercise of patience, which is true for a lot of origami, and I suppose an aspect that I really enjoy. And once you're around once, you can again push these to make them stronger. And then flip over and do the final one, just like the ones before. Always pushing this outside. The ones further out are probably going to be easier because the stars are larger and this distance to the tip is smaller. So if you find it's getting easier, maybe it's because you're getting a bit more practice, because it's always the same steps, but it's also because the size is increasing and the distances at the same time are getting shorter. And again, reinforce the creases. This is so big now that you can actually pinch them right there without having to put that extra pressure on this point right here. So once you're around, we're going to flip the model again to now lock it. You can see these creases we prepared right here. They go to the tip, and there's two next to each other. The inner ones are going to be mountain folds, and the ones next to it are going to be valley folds, so that you kind of push this to the back and push it to the front again. And same thing on the other side. Push it to the back and to the front again, so that it looks like this on the other side. And when you have that, we're going to take our pre-creasing and push that tip to the inside and push it all the way in and strengthen. And then continue with the next one, making the tip and folding it inside and pushing it flat. And the very final one, creating that tip and pushing it inside There we go. And then I'm going to see, just always push on these small areas here to ensure that they're nice and sharp too. We put such a lot of effort into this that we really want a nice finish. And then your Star Infinity, designed by Francesco Guarnieri, is all done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as I mentioned, Francesco has done many beautiful variations, especially changing the center to get very different effects, and it's really amazing. So I do recommend you check his website and his Flickr stream, which include crease patterns and pictures, so that you can fold something that looks similar to this and get a very different result without having to change too much. So see you around, and happy folding!